r/confession my siblings stole my inheritance, so I destroyed their life. I'm staring at the bank statement in my hands, the numbers blurring through my tears of rage. $0.37. That's what's left in the account that was supposed to contain my grandmother's inheritance, the money that was going to save everything. My phone buzzes with another text from Mom's oncologist's office about the overdue payment for her chemotherapy treatments. The irony isn't lost on me that while I'm drowning in medical school debt and watching my mother's cancer spread because we can't afford proper treatment, my brother Jake just posted Instagram photos of his brand new Tesla parked in front of his $1 million house in the hills. The house he bought with my inheritance. 3 months ago, Grandma Rose passed away after a long battle with dementia. She'd always promised that her life savings would go toward my medical school tuition. It was her dream to see a doctor in the family. For years, she'd tell anyone who'd listen about her granddaughter who was going to help people, who was going to make a difference. That money wasn't just my future, it was supposed to cover Mom's treatment costs too. $400,000 that would have changed everything. Instead, I got a call from the estate lawyer telling me there'd been a change to the will. Jake had somehow convinced our dying grandmother to sign over everything to him. The lawyer seemed uncomfortable explaining it, mentioning something about Jake visiting frequently in her final weeks when her dementia was at its worst, bringing documents for her to sign. But she had Alzheimer's, I'd whispered into the phone. She couldn't even remember my name half the time. I'm sorry, the lawyer had said. The will was properly witnessed and notarized. I should have fought it then. Should have contested it immediately. But I was in the middle of my clinical rotations, sleeping 3 hours a night, and Mom had just started a new round of treatments. I trusted that Jake would do the right thing. After all, he was already successful, his real estate business was booming, he had money. Surely he'd share what was clearly meant for the family. That was before I saw the house. Before the Tesla. Before his wife's new jewelry and their vacation photos from the Maldives. Before I realized that while I was rationing ramen noodles and my mother was rationing her pain medication because we couldn't afford the refills, Jake was living like a king on money that belonged to us. The final straw came yesterday when Mom collapsed at her part-time job, the one she took to try to help with medical bills despite being on chemo. The doctors want to try an experimental treatment, but insurance won't cover it. We need $50,000 up front. Money we don't have. Money that's currently sitting in Jake's driveway in the form of a luxury car. I tried calling him. Left voicemails. Sent texts explaining Mom's situation, begging for help. He finally responded this morning with a cold message, sorry, but the inheritance was left to me. That's not my problem anymore. Not his problem. The woman who raised us both when Dad left, who worked double shifts to keep us fed, who's now dying because we can't afford proper treatment, not his problem. That's when something inside me snapped. I'm done being the good sister. Done playing fair while he destroys our family. Jake thinks he's so clever, but he made one crucial mistake, he forgot that I know all his secrets. And I'm about to use every single one of them to take back what's ours. He wants to play dirty. Game on. I spend the rest of the afternoon in the university library, my laptop open to a dozen different tabs as I begin my research. If Jake wants to play the legal game, then I need to understand exactly what I'm dealing with. But the more I dig into elder abuse laws and inheritance fraud, the more my stomach churns. Proving that someone with dementia was manipulated into changing their will is nearly impossible, especially when the documents look legitimate on the surface. The witnesses Jake used were his business associates, people who'd swear he was just being a devoted grandson visiting regularly. The lawyer who handled the will change was someone Jake had worked with before, someone who probably owed him favors from real estate deals. My phone rings, startling me from the legal documents I'm scrolling through. It's my roommate Sarah. Hey, where are you? You missed Dr. Martinez's lecture, and she was asking about you. I glance at the time, 4:30 p.m. I've been here for 6 hours and completely missed my afternoon classes. I'm at the library. Something came up with my family. Is everything okay? You sound weird. I almost laugh at the question. Okay. My brother stole my inheritance, my mom is dying, and I'm contemplating becoming the kind of person who destroys lives for revenge. Nothing about this is okay. I'll call you later, I say, hanging up before she can press further. That's when I remember Jake's first mistake, the one that might actually matter. 2 years ago, during Thanksgiving dinner, he'd been drunk and bragging about some cash deals he'd been doing to minimize his tax burden. At the time, I'd been disgusted but too focused on my studies to really think about it. Now, those conversations take on new significance. Jake always liked to show off, especially when he thought he was the smartest person in the room. He'd mentioned several properties where buyers paid partially in cash under the table, allowing him to report lower sale prices and pocket the difference tax-free. He'd laughed about it, said the IRS would never catch on because the amounts were spread across different deals. But I remember more than just his boasting. I remember him showing me photos on his phone of the cash bundles, like some kind of gangster wannabe. And knowing Jake's ego, he probably still has those photos. He never deletes anything, his phone storage is always full because he refuses to clean out old pictures and videos. My fingers hover over my laptop keyboard. What I'm thinking about doing crosses a line. But then I think about Mom's face when she got the bill for her last treatment, the way she tried to hide her tears when she thought I wasn't looking. I think about the experimental therapy that could save her life, sitting just out of reach because my brother decided he needed a sports car more than his mother needed to live. I pull up a new browser window and start researching IRS whistleblower programs. Turns out they're very interested in tax evasion cases, especially ones involving substantial unreported income. They even offer rewards for information leading to successful prosecutions. But I need evidence. Real evidence, not just drunken confessions from family dinners. My phone buzzes with a text from Mom, honey, don't worry about me. Focus on your studies. We'll figure something out. The casual way she's accepting her potential death sentence makes my decision for me. Jake destroyed our family's future for his own greed. Now it's time for him to learn that actions have consequences. I close my laptop and head home. It's time to pay my dear brother a visit. The drive to Jake's house takes 45 minutes through winding canyon roads that I used to love. Now every turn feels like a descent into something darker. My hands are sweating on the steering wheel of my beat-up Honda Civic, a car that's older than some of my medical school classmates. The contrast between my life and what I'm about to see makes my jaw clench. Jake's neighborhood is one of those places where every house looks like it belongs in a luxury magazine. Perfectly manicured lawns, imported stone driveways, and gates that probably cost more than my annual tuition. When I pull up to his address, my breath catches in my throat. The house is even more obscene in person than in his social media posts. It's a sprawling modern monstrosity with floor-to-ceiling windows and a driveway that could park a dozen cars. The Tesla sits gleaming under designer landscape lighting, and next to it is a BMW that I didn't even know he'd bought. 2 cars worth more than most people make in 5 years. I sit in my car for a moment, staring at what my grandmother's love and sacrifice built. She lived in the same small house for 60 years, clipping coupons and saving every penny so her family could have better opportunities. This vulgar display of wealth would have horrified her. My phone buzzes with a notification. Jake just posted another Instagram story. I watch him showing off some expensive bottle of wine he's opening for dinner. The caption reads, "Living the dream. Hashtag blessed, hashtag success, hashtag hard work pays off." Hard work. As if manipulating a dying woman with dementia counts as hard work. I'm about to get out of the car when the front door opens and Jake's wife Claire emerges. She's dressed in what looks like designer workout clothes, heading toward a Range Rover I hadn't noticed parked in the shadows. Even her gym outfit probably costs more than I spend on groceries in 6 months. Claire was always nice to me before all this. We weren't close, but she always asked about medical school and seemed genuinely interested in my studies. I wonder if she knows how her luxury lifestyle is being funded. Does she know that her yoga classes and spa days are paid for with money that should be keeping my mother alive? She spots my car and waves, walking over with a confused but friendly expression. My heart pounds as I roll down the window. Hey. What a surprise. Jake didn't mention you were coming over. Her smile falters slightly as she takes in my appearance. I probably look like hell after the day I've had. It's a spontaneous visit, I manage. Is he home? Yeah, he's inside on a conference call with some clients. Big deal closing tomorrow. She glances at her expensive watch. I'm heading to Pilates, but you should go on in. You know he's always happy to see his little sister. Little sister. The phrase stings more than it should. Jake's always used our 3-year age gap to treat me like I'm still a child who doesn't understand how the real world works. Maybe that's why he thought I'd just accept his theft without fighting back. Claire, I say, the words coming out before I can stop them. Has Jake seemed different lately? Since Grandma passed? Her expression shifts, becomes more guarded. Different how? I don't know. Maybe more secretive. Stressed about money or business. She's quiet for a long moment, and I see something flicker across her face, uncertainty, maybe even suspicion. Why would you ask that? Before I can answer, the front door opens again and Jake appears, phone pressed to his ear. He's wearing a suit that probably costs more than my monthly rent, and even from a distance I can see the gold watch on his wrist, another new acquisition. He spots my car and his expression hardens. Even while continuing his phone conversation, I can see his jaw tense. He says something quick to whoever he's talking to and hangs up. What are you doing here? He calls out, not even bothering with a greeting. Claire looks between us, clearly sensing the tension. I should let you two talk, she says quietly, backing toward her car. I watch her leave, noting how quickly she retreated. She knows something's wrong. Jake walks over, and I can see the calculation in his eyes. He's wondering what I want, whether I'm here to cause problems for his perfect new life. We need to talk, I say. Jake crosses his arms, not inviting me inside. We stand there in his obscenely expensive driveway like strangers, the canyon breeze carrying the scent of jasmine from his landscaped gardens. About what? I thought I made myself clear this morning. His voice has that dismissive tone he's perfected over the years, the one that makes me feel small and naive. Mom collapsed yesterday. She needs emergency treatment that insurance won't cover. I keep my voice steady, giving him one last chance to be human. $50,000, Jake. That's pocket change compared to what you inherited. He actually has the audacity to sigh, like I'm inconveniencing him with our mother's potential death. Look, I'm sorry about Mom's situation, but I can't just throw money at every medical crisis. I have my own responsibilities now. Your responsibilities. The words come out sharper than I intended. Like your Tesla payments. I earned that car. I built my business from nothing while you were playing student for a decade. His eyes narrow. Grandma left me that money because she knew I'd use it responsibly, not waste it on your pipe dream of becoming a doctor. The casual cruelty of it hits me like a physical blow. Pipe dream. Jake, she had dementia. She couldn't remember what year it was half the time, and you took advantage of that. For just a moment, something flickers across his face, guilt, maybe, or fear. But it's gone so quickly I almost miss it. That's a serious accusation, he says quietly. You better be careful throwing around words like that. Or what? You'll sue me with Grandma's money? Jake steps closer, and I see a side of him I've never witnessed before. His face is cold, calculating. Listen carefully, little sister. Grandma was completely lucid when she changed her will. She realized that I was the one taking care of her, visiting her every week, handling her affairs. Where were you? Buried in your textbooks, too busy to even call. Each word is designed to cut, and they find their mark. I had been overwhelmed with clinical rotations, barely able to visit once a month. But that doesn't excuse what he did. She asked about me constantly, I whisper. The nurses told me she kept a photo of me on her nightstand, kept telling people about her granddaughter, the future doctor. Maybe. But in the end, she knew who was actually there for her. Jake's smile is poisonous. The will is legal. The money is mine. And if you keep harassing me about it, I'll get a restraining order. That's when I notice his phone screen is still lit up, and my blood runs cold. He's been recording our conversation. Insurance, he says, catching my expression. In case you try to spread lies about how I manipulated a poor old woman. This recording proves you're making baseless accusations out of jealousy. The calculating bastard has been 3 steps ahead this entire time. He planned for this confrontation, prepared for my desperation. This wasn't grief or greed, it was a methodical destruction of his own family. You're going to let our mother die for money you don't even need. I'm not letting anyone die. Mom's situation isn't my fault. He pockets his phone. Maybe if you spent less time blaming others and more time figuring out actual solutions, you'd be better off. There are loans, payment plans, other options that don't involve guilting family members. Other options. Like the medical debt that would destroy any chance I have of a future. Like watching moms suffer while we navigate bureaucratic nightmares and beg for payment extensions. Get off my property, Jake says, turning toward his front door. And don't come back unless you're invited. I sit in my car, hands shaking as I watch him disappear into his mansion. He's not just a thief, he's a predator who planned this entire thing. But if Jake thinks he can intimidate me into silence with recordings and threats, he's severely underestimated what a desperate person is capable of. It's time to stop playing defense. I drive home in a rage so pure it's almost clarifying. Jake's smug face keeps flashing in my mind, the way he smiled when he mentioned recording me, like he'd just played some masterful chess move. He thinks he's untouchable now, protected by his lawyers and his legitimate-looking paperwork. But Jake always had one fatal flaw, he can't resist showing off. Back at my apartment, I ignore Sarah's concerned questions and lock myself in my bedroom with my laptop. If I'm going to do this, I need to be smart about it. Methodical. Jake might have outmaneuvered me legally, but he's forgotten that I've been watching him operate for years. I start with social media, not just his current posts, but diving deep into his archives. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, even old Twitter posts. Jake's narcissism is well documented online, and he's never been careful about what he shares. Then I find it. A Facebook post from 18 months ago that makes my heart race. It's a photo from Jake's birthday party, him grinning next to a pile of cash on his dining room table, with the caption, "Another successful month of creative accounting. Cash is king. Moneybag hashtag realtor life hashtag tax season hashtag cash deals." The post has dozens of likes from his real estate buddies, all leaving comments about keeping Uncle Sam happy and what the IRS doesn't know won't hurt them. It's like a confession posted publicly, and apparently none of them were smart enough to realize they were creating evidence. I screenshot everything, but I know this is just the beginning. I need more than social media posts to bring down someone as careful as Jake has proven to be. That's when I remember something else, Jake's assistant, Monica. Monica started working for Jake about 6 months ago, fresh out of business school and eager to prove herself. I'd met her at a family barbecue over the summer, and she'd seemed sweet but overwhelmed by Jake's demanding schedule. More importantly, she'd mentioned being uncomfortable with some of the paperwork irregularities she'd been asked to handle. At the time, I'd assumed she meant normal real estate bureaucracy. Now I'm wondering if she meant something more serious. I find her LinkedIn profile and send a carefully worded message, asking if we could meet for coffee to discuss some concerns about Jake's business practices that might affect the family. I keep it vague but urgent. While I wait for her response, my phone rings. It's Dr. Chen, Mom's oncologist. "I wanted to follow up about your mother's treatment options," he says, and I can hear the carefully controlled urgency in his voice. "The experimental therapy I mentioned, we have a small window to begin treatment if we're going to try it. I need to know by Friday if you can secure the funding." Friday. 3 days away. What happens if we can't? I ask, though I already know the answer. We continue with the standard protocol, but... He trails off. "Your mother's case is aggressive. The experimental treatment significantly improves her odds." After he hangs up, I stare at the ceiling of my cramped bedroom, calculating impossible numbers. Even if I could get student loans approved overnight, they wouldn't cover experimental treatments. Even if I worked 3 jobs, I couldn't earn $50,000 by Friday. The only person who has that money readily available is living in a mansion bought with stolen inheritance funds. My laptop chimes with a notification. Monica has responded to my message, and her reply makes my pulse quicken. I was wondering when someone would ask about this. "Yes, we need to talk. Can you meet tomorrow morning? And please be discreet, I think Jake might be monitoring my work communications." I type back quickly, suggesting a coffee shop near campus that I know Jake would never frequent. As I hit send, I realize I'm crossing into territory I never imagined I'd enter. But when someone backs you into a corner and threatens everything you love, you either fight back or surrender. And I'm not surrendering. Not when Mom's life hangs in the balance. The coffee shop is nearly empty at 7 a.m., which is exactly what I hoped for. I arrive 15 minutes early and choose a corner table with clear sightlines to all the entrances, a paranoid habit I never thought I'd develop. My hands shake slightly as I grip my coffee cup, the caffeine doing nothing to calm my nerves. Monica walks in precisely on time, looking over her shoulder before spotting me. She's younger than I remembered, maybe 24, with the kind of eager professionalism that comes from wanting to prove yourself in your first real job. But today she looks exhausted, dark circles under her eyes suggesting she's been losing sleep over whatever she wants to tell me. "Thank you for meeting me," she says, sliding into the seat across from me. She doesn't order anything, just clutches her purse like it contains something precious. "I wasn't sure if I should reach out to anyone, but after your message." "What's going on, Monica?" She glances around the coffee shop again, then leans forward. "Jake has been having me handle transactions that don't feel right. At first I thought it was just how real estate worked, I'm new to this industry. But the more I see..." "What kind of transactions?" "Cash deals where the reported sale prices don't match what actually changes hands. I've been asked to prepare 2 sets of documents for several properties, one showing the official sale price for tax purposes, and another showing what the buyers actually paid." Her voice drops to almost a whisper. "The differences are substantial. We're talking about hundreds of thousands in unreported income over the past year alone." My heart starts racing. This is exactly what Jake bragged about at Thanksgiving, but having his own assistant confirm it makes it real evidence, not just drunken boasting. "Do you have copies of these documents?" Monica's face goes pale. "I could lose my job." Worse, if this is as illegal as I think it is, I could be charged as an accessory. Monica, my mother is dying because Jake stole money that was meant for her medical treatment. If there's evidence that he's been committing tax fraud, that could help us get justice. She stares into her hands for a long moment. There's something else. Last week, Jake had me contact a document specialist, someone who apparently helps with estate planning paperwork. The conversation was weird, very coded, but I got the impression this person had helped Jake with your grandmother's will. The blood drains from my face. What do you mean, helped with the will? I don't know specifics, but Jake kept mentioning backdating signatures and witness coordination. He was stressed about it, kept asking if certain documents could be traced back to specific dates. Monica's hands are trembling now. I think your grandmother might not have been as involved in changing her will as the lawyers claimed. The coffee shop suddenly feels too small, the air too thin. If Monica is right, Jake didn't just manipulate a woman with dementia, he may have forged legal documents. That's not just inheritance fraud, that's multiple felonies. I need those documents, I say. I can't just steal files from my employer. My mother has 3 days before her treatment window closes. 3 days, Monica. I lean forward, letting her see the desperation I've been trying to hide. Jake used money that was stolen from a dying woman to buy luxury cars while his own mother suffers. If you have evidence that could stop him, please. Monica closes her eyes, and when she opens them, I see she's made her decision. I have digital copies of everything on my work laptop. I was keeping them because something felt wrong, and I wanted to protect myself if this all came crashing down. Can you get them to me? Meet me tonight at my apartment. And bring a flash drive. She stands up, still looking terrified. If we're doing this, we need to do it fast. Jake's been paranoid lately, asking questions about who I've been talking to. I think he suspects something. As she walks away, my phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Stop digging or you'll regret it. This is your only warning. Jake's watching me. The question is, how closely? The text message stares back at me from my phone screen, the words seeming to pulse with menace. Jake's escalating from recording our conversation to outright threats now. My hands are shaking as I screenshot the message. Evidence, I tell myself, though I'm not sure evidence will matter if he's willing to go this far. I'm walking back to my car when I notice the black sedan parked across the street. It's been there since before I enter the coffee shop, and now I see someone in the driver's seat. When I squint to get a better look, the engine starts and it pulls away slowly, deliberately. Jake's having me followed. My paranoia kicks into overdrive during the drive home. Every car behind me could be surveillance. Every phone call could be monitored. I never imagined my own brother would treat me like an enemy combatant, but here we are. Back at my apartment, I try to focus on classes, but concentration is impossible. During my pharmacology lecture, all I can think about is Monica's revelation about the forged documents. If Jake backdated signatures or coerced witnesses, that's criminal fraud on a scale that could send him to prison for years. But it also means he's desperate enough to commit serious felonies. Desperate people do dangerous things. My phone rings during lunch break, Mom's number. I answer expecting to hear her voice, but instead it's Jake. Why are you harassing my employees? His voice is ice-cold fury barely held in check. My blood turns to water. I don't know what you're talking about. Monica quit this morning. Packed up her desk and left without notice, crying about ethical concerns. What did you say to her? I try to keep my voice steady. Maybe she quit because she has a conscience. Listen very carefully. If you've convinced my assistant to steal confidential business documents, that's corporate espionage. I can have you arrested. I haven't stolen anything yet. But if any of my files end up in the wrong hands, I'll know exactly who's responsible. The line goes quiet for a moment, and when he speaks again, his voice is softer, more menacing. By the way, how is Mom feeling today? I stopped by her apartment this morning to check on her. The threat is crystal clear. He's been to see Mom, and he wants me to know he has access to her. My vision blurs with rage. If you touch her, I'm her son. I'm allowed to visit my dying mother. His fake concern makes me sick. We had a nice chat about family loyalty. About how important it is not to spread malicious rumors that could hurt the people we love. He's poisoning her against me. Convincing her that I'm the problem. She seemed worried about you, actually. Said you've been acting strange lately, making accusations about inheritance fraud. She's concerned you might be having some kind of breakdown from the stress of medical school. The manipulation is masterful and horrifying. He's not just threatening Mom physically, he's making her question my sanity, my motives. If this goes public, he wants her to believe I'm lying. You're a monster. I'm a successful businessman protecting his interests. The difference is I understand how the real world works. His voice hardens again. Cancel whatever meeting you have planned with Monica. Walk away from this obsession with the inheritance. Focus on being a good daughter to Mom in her final months instead of chasing conspiracy theories. The line goes dead, leaving me staring at my phone in the empty hallway outside the lecture hall. Other medical students pass by, laughing about weekend plans, complaining about upcoming exams. Normal problems. Normal lives. I check my messages and find one from Monica. Changed my mind. Too risky. Sorry. Jake got to her first. Whatever evidence she had is gone now, probably destroyed out of fear. He's systematically cutting off every avenue of attack, isolating me, making me look unstable. But he made one mistake. In his arrogance, he just confirmed that the documents Monica mentioned actually exist. He wouldn't be this scared if there wasn't something real to hide. I may have lost Monica as an ally, but I'm far from finished. If Jake wants to play psychological warfare, he's about to learn that medical students are very, very good at research. And I just remembered who else has access to his financial records. I spend the rest of the afternoon in a state of controlled fury, my mind racing through possibilities. Jake thinks he's won by silencing Monica, but his threatening phone call revealed more than he intended. The panic in his voice when he mentioned confidential business documents confirms he's hiding something substantial. That's when I remember Claire's expression yesterday, the way her face changed when I asked about Jake being secretive. She suspects something too. More importantly, as his wife, she has legal access to their financial records. Tax returns, bank statements, business accounts, everything I need to prove Jake's fraud is probably sitting in their home office. But approaching Claire directly is too risky. Jake's clearly monitoring my communications and movements. I need a subtler approach. I pull up Claire's Instagram account and scroll through her recent posts. She's been documenting her life obsessively, yoga classes, shopping trips, dinner dates. Her routine is predictable, Pilates on Tuesday and Thursday mornings, lunch with friends on Wednesdays, solo spa days on Fridays while Jake handles big business meetings. Today is Thursday. At 9 a.m., I'm parked outside Claire's Pilates studio, feeling like a stalker but knowing this might be my only chance. When she emerges an hour later, she looks surprised but pleased to see me. What a coincidence. Are you thinking of joining this class? It's amazing for stress relief. Actually, I was hoping we could talk. About Jake. I watch her expression carefully. I know things have been tense between us lately, and I wanted to explain. Claire glances around the parking lot nervously. Maybe we should go somewhere more private. 20 minutes later, we're sitting in her car outside a quiet park. Claire keeps checking her phone, clearly anxious about something. Jake told me you've been making some serious accusations, she says finally. About your grandmother's will. Did he tell you why I'm making them? He said you were upset about not inheriting anything, that you felt entitled to money for medical school. Her voice wavers slightly. But that didn't sound like the person I knew. I pull out my phone and show her the photos from Jake's Instagram, the Tesla, the house, his recent purchases. Claire, this is $400,000 worth of new acquisitions in 3 months. Where do you think that money came from? She stares at the screen, and I see the moment doubt creeps in. His business has been doing really well. Well enough to buy all this outright. No financing, no loans. I lean forward. When did Jake start paying cash for everything? Claire's silence stretches too long. She knows something. There's more, I continue. My mother is dying. She needs treatment we can't afford, treatment that inheritance was supposed to cover. Jake told me yesterday that's not his problem. He wouldn't. Jake loves your mother. Does he? Because when I begged him for help, he recorded our conversation and threatened me with a restraining order. I show her the threatening text message. This morning he went to Mom's apartment to intimidate her. Claire's face goes pale as she reads the text. I didn't know about any of this. I think there's a lot you don't know. About the cash deals, the tax evasion, maybe even about how that will was really changed. What are you saying? I'm saying your husband may be a criminal, and the lifestyle you're living is built on money stolen from a dying woman. Claire stares out the windshield for a long moment. When she speaks, her voice is barely a whisper. There have been things, phone calls he takes in private, documents he won't let me see. He's been different since your grandmother died. Paranoid. Angry. Claire, I need your help. I can't spy on my own husband. You don't have to spy. Just look at what's already in your house. Tax documents, bank statements, business records. If Jake is innocent, those records will prove it. She's quiet again, wrestling with the implications. Finally, she looks at me with tears in her eyes. If what you're saying is true, if Jake really stole from your family. She wipes her face with shaking hands. I can't be married to someone like that. So you'll help me? Claire nods slowly, but her expression is terrified. Jake's flying to San Francisco tomorrow for a weekend conference. I'll have access to his office. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, she whispers. If we're wrong about this, I'm destroying my marriage for nothing. And if we're right. She trails off, staring at her wedding ring. Then I'm destroying it anyway. Friday afternoon feels like the longest day of my life. I've been checking my phone obsessively, waiting for Claire's message that Jake has left for his conference. Every minute that passes is another minute closer to Mom's treatment deadline, another minute of Jake potentially discovering what we're planning. At 3:47 p.m., my phone finally buzzes. He just left for the airport. Come over in an hour. I spend that hour pacing my apartment, second-guessing everything. What if this is a trap? What if Jake never actually left, and I'm walking into some kind of setup? What if Claire changed her mind and decided to warn him? But then I think about Mom's face when the doctor explained her odds without the experimental treatment, and I know I don't have a choice. The drive to Jake's house feels surreal in daylight. Without the dramatic evening lighting, the neighborhood looks even more obscene, a monument to wealth inequality nestled in the hills while people like Mom struggle to afford basic medical care. Claire's car is the only one in the driveway, which should be reassuring, but my paranoia has reached new heights. I park on the street instead of the driveway, keeping my escape route clear. Claire answers the door looking like she hasn't slept in days. Her usually perfect appearance is disheveled, and I can see she's been crying. I've been going through his files since he left, she says without preamble. You need to see this. She leads me through the house, all marble countertops and designer furniture that probably costs more than most people's cars. Jake's home office is a shrine to his own success, awards on the walls, photos with local politicians, expensive gadgets everywhere. But it's the documents spread across his desk that make my breath catch. These are copies of contracts from the past 18 months, Claire says, her voice hollow. Look at the dates. I scan the paperwork, and my heart starts racing. There are multiple versions of the same property sales, with different amounts, different terms, even different signatures. Some documents show sale prices hundreds of thousands lower than others for the identical transactions. This one especially, Claire points to a thick folder. Jake sold this property to a developer for $2.8 million, but the tax documents show a sale price of $1.9 million. The difference was paid in cash, off the books. $900,000. In a single transaction. Claire, this is massive tax fraud. We're not talking about fudging numbers, this is organized, systematic theft from the IRS. She nods, tears streaming down her face. There's more. Look at this. She hands me a bank statement for an account I've never heard of, something called JRM Holdings LLC. The deposits are staggering, cash amounts in the hundreds of thousands, all within the past 2 years. What's JRM Holdings? Jake Robert Morrison. It's a shell company he set up last year. All the unreported cash goes into this account. Her voice breaks. We've been living off tax evasion money, and I had no idea. I'm photographing everything with my phone when Claire freezes. Do you hear that? A car door slams in the driveway. We both rush to the window and see Jake getting out of his BMW, phone pressed to his ear, looking furious. His conference was supposed to last all weekend. He's back early, Claire whispers, panic rising in her voice. What do we do? I'm frantically shoving documents back into folders, trying to restore the office to how we found it. Did you move anything else? Change anything? I don't know, I was looking through everything, I might have. The front door opens. Claire. Whose car is that outside? Jake's voice carries through the house, and I can hear his footsteps heading toward the office. Claire grabs my arm. The back door. Now. We're halfway across the living room when Jake appears in the hallway, still in his travel clothes but looking like he's seen a ghost. What the hell is going on here? His eyes dart between Claire's tear-stained face and my obvious guilt, then toward his office door, which we left slightly ajar. Jake, I can explain, Claire starts. You brought her into my office. His voice is deadly quiet, the kind of calm that comes before an explosion. After everything I told you about her harassment. I'm backing toward the rear of the house, but Jake moves to block the hallway. Nobody's leaving until I know exactly what you've seen. The three of us stand frozen in this horrible tableau, Jake blocking my escape route, Claire trembling beside me, and the evidence of his crime scattered just 20 feet away in his office. My heart is hammering so hard I'm sure they can both hear it. I asked you a question. Jake's voice has taken on a tone I've never heard before, cold, calculating, dangerous. What exactly did you see in my office? Claire tries to step between us. Jake, we need to talk about. Shut up, Claire. He doesn't even look at her, his eyes locked on mine. My wife can be forgiven for being naive, but you came into my house to steal from me. Again. I didn't steal anything. Your phone. He holds out his hand. Give me your phone right now. No. Jake pulls out his own phone. Then I'm calling the police. Breaking and entering, burglary, corporate espionage. Take your pick. My mind races through my options. If I give him my phone, the photos are gone and this was all for nothing. If I don't, he might actually call the police, and who are they going to believe, a successful businessman or his desperate sister with a history of harassment? That's when Claire surprises us both. I invited her here, Jake. She didn't break in. Jake's facade cracks for just a moment. Why would you do that? Because I wanted answers about where our money really comes from. About why you've been so paranoid and secretive since her grandmother died. Claire's voice grows stronger with each word. About why there are 2 sets of books for your property sales. The color drains from Jake's face. He knows she's seen the evidence. Claire, you don't understand what you're looking at. Real estate transactions are complicated. $900,000 in unreported income on one sale isn't complicated, Jake. It's fraud. The silence that follows is deafening. Jake's mask is slipping, and underneath I see something that terrifies me, not guilt or remorse, but pure calculation. He's figuring out how to contain this situation, how to minimize the damage to himself. Okay, he says finally, his voice eerily calm. We're all going to sit down and discuss this rationally. Like adults. But he's moved closer to both of us, and I realize he's positioned himself between us and every exit from the room. This isn't a discussion, it's a containment strategy. Jake, just let me leave, I say. We can pretend this never happened. After you photographed confidential financial documents. I don't think so. His smile is absolutely chilling. Besides, we haven't talked about Mom yet. My blood turns to ice. What about Mom? She's been asking questions since our conversation yesterday. About the inheritance, about whether I really deserve all of it. Apparently my little sister has been filling her head with conspiracy theories. He pulls out his phone and shows me the screen, Mom's contact information. She's expecting me to stop by this evening with some documents that prove everything was legitimate. The threat is crystal clear. He's going to use Mom as leverage. If anything happens to her. Nothing's going to happen to anyone, as long as we all make smart choices. Jake's voice is perfectly reasonable, which makes it even more terrifying. Claire, honey, you're going to delete whatever photos you took. And my dear sister here is going to stop her investigation and accept that some battles can't be won. Claire's hand finds mine, and I can feel her shaking. And if we don't? Jake's smile widens. Then I'll have to explore other options for protecting my family's interests. The house suddenly feels like a trap, and I realize Jake never left for any conference. He knew we were planning this. The realization hits me like a physical blow. You never had a conference, did you? Jake's smile is triumphant. Monica called me yesterday after your coffee meeting. Told me everything about your little plan before she quit. Did you really think I'd just fly off to San Francisco and leave my house undefended? My legs feel weak. Monica hadn't changed her mind out of fear, she'd been working for Jake all along. The whole thing was a setup. So you've been watching us this entire time. I got back from my fake airport trip about 20 minutes after you arrived. Long enough to let you both dig your own graves. He gestures toward his office. I have security cameras in there, by the way. Everything you've done today is recorded. Claire's face goes white. You've been filming us. I've been protecting my assets. There's a difference. Jake pulls up something on his phone, it looks like a security app. Would you like to see the footage of my wife stealing confidential documents from my office? Or maybe the part where she hands them to someone who's already threatened my business. The trap is perfect and devastating. Any evidence we gathered can be dismissed as stolen property obtained through illegal means. Worse, Jake now has video proof that we committed crimes. The beauty of this, Jake continues, clearly enjoying himself, is that even if those documents somehow made it to the IRS, they'd be inadmissible. Fruit of the poison tree and all that. My lawyers would have the case thrown out before it even started. I look at Claire, and I can see the moment she realizes what this means for her marriage, her life, everything she thought she knew about the man she married. How long have you been planning this, she whispers. Planning what? Protecting myself from people who want to destroy everything I've built. Jake shrugs. I knew eventually my greedy little sister would escalate beyond pathetic phone calls. I just needed to be ready when she did. And Monica? Monica was getting too curious about the business anyway. Better to use her nosiness to my advantage and then let her go. His expression hardens. The real question now is what we do about this family crisis. Jake walks over to the window and peers out at the street, like he's checking for something. Claire, you're going to need to make a choice about where your loyalties lie. With your husband who's given you this beautiful life, or with conspiracy theories and family drama. Those aren't conspiracy theories, Jake. I saw the documents. You saw paperwork you don't understand, taken out of context. His voice takes on that patronizing tone again. Real estate law is complex. What looks like fraud to an amateur is just creative financing structures. But I catch something in his voice, a slight tremor when he mentions the documents. He's not as confident as he's pretending to be. If everything's so legitimate, I say, why not just let the IRS review your books? Clear your name once and for all. Jake's laugh is harsh. Because I don't have to prove my innocence to anyone, especially not to someone who's already committed burglary and harassment. My phone buzzes with a text message, and Jake immediately steps closer. Who's texting you? I glance at the screen and my heart stops. It's from Mom. Honey, your brother brought me some papers about Grandma's will. Can you come over tonight? I have questions. Jake sees my expression and his smile returns. Like I said, Mom's expecting me. She's very concerned about your recent behavior. I think it might be time for her to know just how far you've been willing to go with these accusations. Don't you dare drag her into this. She's already in it. The question is whether tonight's conversation focuses on her daughter's criminal activities, or whether we can find a more family-friendly resolution. The manipulation is breathtaking. He's going to use Mom's remaining time against me, poison her final months with doubt about my motives and sanity. Claire suddenly speaks up, her voice stronger than I've heard it all day. I want to see those documents you're planning to show her. Jake turns to her, surprised. Why? Because if they're real, they'll prove you're telling the truth. And if they're not? She meets his eyes directly. Then I need to know exactly who I married. Jake's face goes through a series of micro-expressions, surprise, calculation, then something that might be panic before settling back into that cold mask. The request has clearly caught him off guard. Claire, you're upset. You're not thinking clearly about what you're asking. I'm thinking very clearly. She crosses her arms, and I see a strength in her that I never noticed before. If these documents prove the will was legitimate, then show them to me first. Right now. That's not how this works. Those papers contain sensitive family information. I'm family, Jake. I'm your wife. Her voice cuts through his deflection like a blade. Unless there's a reason you don't want me to see them. The silence stretches uncomfortably long. Jake glances between Claire and me, and I can practically see him recalculating his strategy. Whatever documents he's prepared for Mom, he clearly doesn't want his wife examining them first. The papers are at the office, he says finally. Claire's laugh is bitter. Try again. You just told us you've been planning this conversation with their mother. You expect me to believe you don't have copies here? Claire, I don't appreciate being interrogated in my own home. And I don't appreciate discovering my husband might be a criminal. The words hang in the air like a slap. So let's clear this up right now. Show me the documents, or I walk out that door with her, and we both go straight to the police. My heart pounds as I watch this power struggle unfold. Claire is calling Jake's bluff, but I can see the fear in her eyes. She knows she's pushing a dangerous man into a corner. Jake's phone buzzes, and he glances at it with an expression I can't read. Whatever he sees there makes his jaw tighten. Fine, he says, but his tone suggests anything but surrender. The documents are in my office safe. But this ends tonight, one way or another. He leads us back toward his office, and every instinct I have screams that this is a mistake. The way he's moving, the set of his shoulders, something has changed. That text message shifted the dynamics somehow. In his office, Jake kneels beside an expensive-looking safe hidden behind a bookshelf. As he inputs the combination, I notice his hands are shaking slightly. Whatever confidence he had earlier is cracking. Jake, Claire says quietly, before you open that, I need you to tell me the truth. All of it. He freezes, his hand on the safe handle. What truth? About the inheritance. About your business practices. About who you've become. Her voice breaks slightly. Because once I see what's in there, there's no going back for either of us. For a moment, Jake looks almost vulnerable, like the brother I used to know might still exist somewhere under all the greed and manipulation. But then his phone buzzes again, and whatever humanity I glimpse disappears. You want the truth? He pulls out a manila folder from the safe, but he's gripping it so tightly his knuckles are white. The truth is that I protected this family's interests when no one else would. Grandma was losing her mind, ready to throw away her life savings on fantasies and medical bills for lost causes. The casual cruelty hits me like a physical blow. Lost causes? Mom's been dying for 2 years. Throwing money at experimental treatments isn't going to change that, it's just going to bankrupt everyone for nothing. His mask is fully off now, revealing something cold and predatory underneath. At least this way, the money went to someone who could use it productively. Claire stares at him like she's seeing a stranger. That's not your decision to make. Someone had to make it. Someone had to be realistic about what was best for the family. Jake opens the folder, and I catch a glimpse of official-looking documents. And if that makes me the villain in your little morality play, so be it. But as he spreads the papers on his desk, I notice something that makes my blood run cold. The letterhead on the top document isn't from Grandma's lawyer, it's from a completely different firm. And the signature at the bottom doesn't look like Grandma's handwriting at all. Jake follows my gaze and realizes his mistake. In his anger, he's shown US evidence of the forgery. Claire, I whisper, look at the signature. She leans forward, and I see the exact moment she recognizes what we're looking at. Her face goes ashen. Jake, she breathes, what did you do? The signature on the document is shaky, clearly not written by the same hand that signed birthday cards and Christmas presents for 28 years. But it's not just the handwriting that gives it away, it's the date. Jake, I say, my voice barely above a whisper, this document is dated 3 days after Grandma died. The silence in the room is deafening. Claire grabs the paper with trembling hands, examining the signature more closely. This isn't even close to how she wrote her name. Look at the R in rows, she always made it with that distinctive loop. Jake's face cycles through emotions, panic, rage, calculation. You don't understand what you're looking at. Sometimes documents need to be reconstructed when the originals are unclear. Reconstructed? Claire's voice rises an octave. Jake, this is a completely forged will. It reflects her actual intentions dash. Her intentions according to who? You. I grab another document from the pile, scanning it quickly. The witness signatures are equally suspect, one of them is dated during a week when I know Grandma was in the hospital, unconscious after a stroke. My phone starts ringing. Mom's contact photo fills the screen, and Jake immediately moves toward me. Don't answer that. It's my mother. I said don't answer it. His voice has turned dangerous again, but I'm beyond caring about his threats. I swipe to accept the call. Mom. Honey, I'm at the hospital. Her voice is weak, strained. Something's wrong. The doctors are saying, they're saying someone called and canceled my insurance coverage this afternoon. My blood turns to ice. What do you mean canceled? Jake is frantically gesturing for me to hang up, but I turn away from him. They're saying there was a family member who called, claimed I was switching to a different provider. Now they won't continue my treatment until we sort out the insurance mess. Mom starts crying. I can't afford these medications without coverage. I don't know what to do. I spin around to face Jake, fury rising in my chest like a tidal wave. You canceled Mom's insurance. Claire gasps, her hand flying to her mouth. Jake, tell me you didn't. I made a strategic decision dash, Jake starts, but I cut him off. Mom, listen to me. Go to the patient advocate immediately. Tell them there's been a mistake, that someone impersonated a family member. This is insurance fraud, and they need to document everything. But who would do something like that? I stare directly at Jake as I answer. Someone who wants you to be desperate enough to accept help with strings attached. Jake's phone buzzes again, and this time he answers it immediately. What do you mean they're asking questions? No, handle it. I don't care what it costs. When he hangs up, his composure is completely gone. You have no idea what you've set in motion. What's that supposed to mean? The IRS doesn't just investigate individuals. They investigate everyone connected to potential fraud cases. Bank records, family members, business associates. His smile is vicious. Claire's going to be questioned about every purchase, every transaction, every luxury we've enjoyed. Claire backs away from him like he's become radioactive. Are you threatening me now too? I'm explaining reality. You think you can just walk away from this marriage clean? You've been living off the same money she's so concerned about. In the eyes of the law, you're complicit. The manipulation is breathtaking, but I can see it's not working on Claire anymore. Something has shifted in her expression, like she's finally seeing Jake for who he really is. You know what? Claire says, her voice steady despite her tears. I'd rather be questioned by the IRS than stay married to someone who would forge a dying woman's signature and cancel his mother's insurance coverage. She pulls off her wedding ring and throws it at him. Claire, wait dash, Jake reaches for her, but she's already heading for the door. I'm going to the hospital to help your mother fix her insurance. Then I'm going to a lawyer. She turns back one last time. And then I'm going to the FBI. The sound of the front door slamming echoes through the house, leaving Jake and me alone with the evidence of his crime scattered across his desk. His phone rings again. This time, when he looks at the caller ID, his face goes completely white. Who is it? I ask. My business partner, he whispers. The FBI just raided our office. The words hit me like a physical blow. The FBI raided your office. Jake's hands are shaking as he stares at his phone, which has started ringing again. He declines the call, but immediately another one comes in from a different number. This can't be happening, he mutters, more to himself than to me. Not yet. I wasn't ready. Ready for what? He ignores me, frantically shoving documents back into the safe. But his panic is making him clumsy, papers scatter to the floor, and I catch glimpses of more fraudulent signatures, more backdated forms. The scope of his crimes is even larger than I imagined. Jake, how many wills did you forge? That stops him cold. He turns to look at me, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I see genuine fear in his eyes. It wasn't just Grandma, was it? The realization creeps over me like ice water. How many other elderly clients did you manipulate? You don't understand the pressure I was under. The real estate market was shifting, clients were backing out of deals. How many, Jake? His phone buzzes with a text message, and when he reads it, his knees actually buckle. He has to grab the desk to steady himself. What does it say? They've frozen all my business accounts. His voice is barely a whisper. Personal accounts too. Everything. The magnitude of what's happening starts to sink in. This isn't just about Grandma's inheritance anymore. Jake's been running a massive fraud operation, and it's all collapsing at once. They want me downtown for questioning, he says, staring at another message. My lawyer says to turn myself in voluntarily. Part of me feels a savage satisfaction watching his empire crumble. But another part, the part that still remembers building blanket forts with my big brother, feels sick watching him fall apart. Jake, if you cooperate with them, tell them everything, maybe. Maybe what? Maybe I only go to prison for 10 years instead of 20. His laugh is bitter and broken. Do you have any idea what happens to white-collar criminals in federal prison? My phone rings, Mom calling back. This time Jake doesn't try to stop me from answering. The insurance company says it'll take at least a week to restore my coverage, Mom says, her voice small and defeated. They need to investigate the fraudulent cancellation. But honey, I don't have a week. The doctors say if I miss more than 2 days of treatment. She doesn't finish the sentence. She doesn't need to. I look at Jake, who's collapsed into his expensive leather chair, staring at the ceiling. There has to be emergency coverage, some kind of bridge policy. It costs $8,000 out of pocket just for the next 3 days, Mom continues. The hospital wants payment up front. $8,000. Money I don't have, money that's sitting in frozen accounts that Jake can no longer access. Mom is going to die because of my brother's greed and my need for revenge. I'll figure something out, Mom. I promise. After I hang up, Jake and I sit in silence for a long moment. Outside, I can hear sirens in the distance, whether they're coming for him or not, I can't tell. She's really dying, isn't she? Jake says finally. Yes. And the experimental treatment could save her. The doctors think so. But not if she can't maintain continuous care. Jake opens his laptop and starts typing frantically. My cryptocurrency wallet. They can't freeze what they don't know about. Jake, what are you doing? 50,000 in Bitcoin. Enough to cover Mom's treatment and restore her insurance. His fingers fly across the keyboard. I'm transferring it to an account Claire can access. Why would you do that now? He stops typing and looks at me with eyes that seem decades older than they were an hour ago. Because you were right about one thing, I am a monster. But maybe I don't have to stay one. The transfer completes just as we hear car doors slamming in the driveway. Jake closes the laptop and straightens his tie with hands that have finally stopped shaking. Tell Mom I'm sorry, he says. Tell her I forgot what family was supposed to mean. Through the window, I can see federal agents walking up the driveway, their badges gleaming in the afternoon sun. 6 months later, I'm sitting in the oncology ward watching Mom sleep peacefully in her hospital bed. The experimental treatment worked, her latest scans show the cancer in complete remission. The doctors are cautiously optimistic, using words like miraculous response and exceeded all expectations. The Bitcoin transfer Jake made in his final moments of freedom covered everything, the insurance gap, the experimental therapy, even the follow-up treatments. Claire, true to her word, made sure every penny went to Mom's care before filing for divorce and cooperating fully with the FBI investigation. Jake pled guilty to 17 counts of fraud, including elder abuse, tax evasion, and forgery. The prosecutor said his cooperation and the last-minute transfer to help Mom were considered mitigating factors, but he still received 12 years in federal prison. His real estate license was permanently revoked, his assets liquidated to pay restitution to his victims. The investigation revealed he defrauded 8 elderly clients over 3 years, forging wills and manipulating people with dementia. Grandma wasn't his first victim, she was just his most personal one. The FBI recovered over $2 million in stolen inheritances. I testified at his sentencing hearing. Not for revenge, I'd gotten enough of that watching his empire collapse. I testified for his other victims, elderly people whose families never got the closure we did. When I spoke about Grandma Rose and her dream of having a doctor in the family, even Jake's lawyer wiped his eyes. Jake wrote me a letter from prison last month. He doesn't ask for forgiveness, he knows that's not his to request. Instead, he wrote about finally understanding what he destroyed, not just financially but spiritually. He asked about Mom's health and whether I'd passed my final exams. He signed it, your brother, trying to remember who that used to mean. I haven't written back yet. Maybe someday. Claire and I have become unlikely allies through all this. She testified against Jake, helped investigators track down hidden assets, and used her share of the recovered funds to establish a foundation protecting elderly people from financial abuse. She says it helps her sleep at night, knowing something good came from the worst period of her life. The real victory isn't Jake's imprisonment or the money we recovered. It's watching Mom laugh again, making plans for the future, talking about seeing me graduate medical school. She's gained back the weight she lost during chemo, and yesterday she mentioned wanting to plant a garden this spring. Grandma Rose would be so proud, she said yesterday, squeezing my hand as we walked through the hospital corridors where I'll be doing my residency next year. Her granddaughter the doctor, saving lives. I think about Grandma often, not the confused, vulnerable woman Jake exploited, but the fierce, loving person who clipped coupons for decades so her family could have better opportunities. Her real legacy isn't the money Jake stole, it's the values she instilled, the dreams she nurtured, the love she gave freely. My phone buzzes with a message from my residency program director, looking forward to having you join our team. Your application essay about medical ethics and family loyalty was extraordinary. I look at Mom, peaceful in sleep, her breathing steady and strong. Outside her window, the sun is setting over the city, painting everything in shades of gold and hope. Jake thought he could steal our future. Instead, he just delayed it slightly while destroying his own. Sometimes justice isn't about punishment, it's about healing, rebuilding, and remembering what really matters. Tomorrow, Mom gets her final scan results. I'll graduate medical school in 3 months. And somewhere in a federal prison, my brother is learning that family loyalty can't be forged, manipulated, or stolen. It can only be earned.